What's up, guys? Today we're in the garage. What I want to show you today is if you have an old ratchet or socket wrench, as they call them, that is just a little rough, a little crunchy. It skips, it slips. We're going to show you how you can repair one of these, because this is like a nice old Craftsman, and to get something good quality like this these days, this could probably run you, 50-60 bucks for a nice one. This is a 1/2-inch drive, so we're gonna just take it apart, clean it up, and make it work good. To spec, I will need a couple pairs of needle nose pliers, some pick tools, a little tiny flathead screwdriver, a magnet. I got some penetrating oil, and then snap ring pliers. So first thing we're gonna do to clean this up a little, we're gonna oil it up. I'm gonna clean all the gunk out of there. Bad, and you couldn't get all the gunk out just by soaking it. I think this side does the same thing. You squeeze those together and then pop this up. She's starting to go. She's up on that side. Keep a little pressure on that. That one's up. Clean that off real good. Right now we're just going to set that aside. So now you have, this is the cam gear, and then there's a bearing that sits down in here on a spring. I took a very small 1/4-inch socket apart once, and I lost the small bearing for that one. But this one, I'm not going to do that. So we're going to clean this out real good. And now that that gear is not pushing, we should be able to get that other side out. There's our spring and our little ball bearing. Now we'll go back to this side. There we go. And now that's apart. Now we're just going to clean this all up and put it back together. This Craftsman wrench is probably from the 80s or 90s. It was, I think this was one of my, either my dad's or one of my girl's dads, and it was passed down to me. And you can't go wrong with old quality tools. Take care of your tools. A machine is only as good as the tools that you use to work on it. So take the time, take care of your tools, and they will, in turn, be reliable and be able to take care of your machine. Also, what's really great about doing things like this, and the whole idea behind working on your own bikes, is that you, while taking it apart, you really get to see the breakdown of how it works, and you get a better, deeper understanding of, you know, the mechanics behind a machine. And I've always enjoyed, ever since I was a kid, taking stuff apart and figuring out how it works. Being able to put it back together, that is a whole other test. But if you can take it apart and put it back together, yeah, you're cooking. So I'm just cleaning up all this. There's a lot of old gunk in here. See, this one actually has a fitting here for oil. A lot of wrenches these days do not have that. They're just made and that's it, and they're basically not serviceable unless you take them apart. Whereas this is supposed to be oiled. There's a little tiny ball in there with a spring behind it, and you're supposed to just push something like this down on there and apply some oil. And that oil, as I'm pushing on here, will come down and be inside there, and you can keep it lubed so that this gunk is all from dirt and dust of years and years of use, and that dirt, when you have more dirt than oil, it kind of mucks it up. If you keep oiling it constantly, then it won't get like this. But this is really gummed up in here from just so much, basically, neglect of the tool being used, or not used consistently enough to keep it in motion, and being able to have just sediment, whether it's dirt or dust, sit in there and kind of take up space. Where, you know, if this gear was being used over and over and over, you wouldn't be able to leave space for dirt and grime to sit into all the little grooves and rest and get hardened like this, where I had to literally scrape it out. So if you use your tools consistently and take care of them and clean them and don't, you know, if this thing, I don't know how many times, if you have an oil pan under your bike, you are going to drop things in there that you don't want in there. It's just, it's like the butter side of the toast always lands down. Cat always lands on its feet. A tool is going to drop into an oil pan full of oil. It's just one of those things. It's unavoidable. So we've got this part pretty much cleaned out. Looking pretty good. And then we're going to set this aside. And now we're going to clean up all these other little parts. This looks like this is actually, some of this is old grease, it seems. It might be old grease. It might be, like I said, just dirt and crud. Crud is a great name for it. Crud is a word that doesn't get enough action. Crud. We're bringing crud back this year. Crud 2026. So I enjoy doing this stuff. I hope you're enjoying watching it, listening to me ramble. But this stuff like this right here, I could just spend hours in the garage doing stuff like this. It's just a nice, it's cathartic. Just put some music on and just tinker away on anything. Look at all that crud. And then look at the other side. Crud. No crud. Crud. No crud. Lots of crud in here inside the button. Just cleaning up all the grooves in this gear now. This way we'll get nice engagement when we want to either tighten or loosen something. No skips. All bangers, no skips. that's cleaned up. Now, which way did this go? That's the fun part. Trying to remember which way. That way. If you don't think that you will be able to remember how something went back together, this is, whether you're fixing tools or motorcycles or, your refrigerator, whatever it is, if you feel like you're not going to remember or figure out how it goes back together, some things are very simple, some things are not as simple. Some things maybe require a lot more parts or more steps, a lot more screws or bolts or what have you. Take pictures. Just take pictures as you're taking it apart. Take pictures of how it looks before you take it apart, as you're taking it apart. Take a video of taking it apart so you can retrace your steps. And then this way you eliminate the guesswork, and you didn't just go through cleaning something up just to, let it sit on a shelf because you can't put it back together, or have to pay somebody else to finish what you started because you don't know, you got in too deep, or you missed something, or just take a video, take some pictures, and then when you're done you can just delete them or post them on a blog or forum somewhere for the next person. That's how I started to learn how to do anything, honestly, was a combination of service manuals and online forums, before YouTube got too big. But now you got videos on YouTube on how to do almost anything, and you don't have to necessarily go to school, technical school or whatever, to learn how to just fix most things on your bike or in your garage. Just a little bit of know-how, some patience, and service manuals or whatever to get you torque specs and sequence, and or sometimes it's just somebody who's done it a bunch of times that knows what they're doing, that can just tell you, hey, do this or do that, or don't do this or don't do that. Because sometimes it's not about the right way to do it. There's plenty of right ways to do stuff, with homemade tools, or different sequences sometimes. But sometimes there's shortcuts, sometimes there's long cuts, and sometimes it's good for if somebody can just tell you, hey, what's the one way not to do it? What's the one way that's going to be catastrophic and break something, or hurt myself, or what's the one thing you shouldn't do from somebody else's experience? Those are often the tips that don't get posted enough, and somebody will go and they'll say, oh, well, why don't we do it this way? Why doesn't anybody do it this way? This seems like a good way to do it. And then they do it, and then they lose an eye or something, and that's called learning from somebody else's mistakes, or helping somebody else to learn from your mistakes. That's just as good as advice as, you know, just telling somebody, hey, this is the way they do it in the manual, and that's it. That's the only way to do it. You know, sometimes you got to say, hey, whatever you do, don't, you know, spray brake clean in your eye. Whatever you do, you know, if you're siphoning gasoline out of a stranger's motorcycle, you know, and you get gas in your mouth, don't swallow it, you know? Some people need to know these things, even if they seem like, obviously, to you or me or, you know, your brother or your sister, it may seem like common sense, but not everybody has common sense these days. So that's what I got to say about that. So we are all cleaned up here. So it is about time for reassembly. So I'm going to throw some of this garbage out. There, it's out. And now we're going to put this Larry back together. So let's get ourselves a nice clean workspace. That's that. So first thing is the spring goes down into there. That's first. Spring into there, right? Then the ball sits on the spring, and then this piece, and then this piece with the clip. But first, we're going to do it the opposite order that we took it apart. We have to get the ball in there. The ball is going to sit on that spring, and then it's good. There's a hole. There's a you know, like a tube channel for the spring and the ball, so that when you turn this, the ball will want to rock either to the right and lock in here, or the left and lock in here. So it toggles, kind of like a light switch. It'll toggle that way and then toggle that way. And as it's doing that, that's allowing the gear, as the, I should have showed you this before I put it back together, but basically it's allowing the gear to pass by this way and lock this way, or pass by this way and lock that way. This point will hit in the teeth. So when it's like this, the teeth come by and just click past it, but when it wants to go back this way, the teeth hit. Same with the other way. You flip it and the teeth roll past it, and then when you want to go back, it hits and clicks. So once I pop this back in, with the switch out, I'll show you exactly what's going on there. You probably understand from my layman's explanation, but let me just put it back together and then I'll show you. This is why I lost the ball in the 1/4-inch drive one. It did that. I had put tension on the spring, and when I went to put this piece in, slipped off the spring and the ball launched somewhere in here, and it was much smaller than that one. So that's in. So I'm just going to keep my finger on here, and we're going to spin this gear so that it lines up with that cam. Now once we're started, before I push it in all the way, then I'm going to put this clip back in the groove. What I'm actually going to do is get it so one side is there. Get one side lined up. Switch my hands. Holding here with my finger. My other finger, one finger here holding this in, the other finger pushing this up. Get the clip in the groove. Compress. Keep pressure with my middle finger, release with my pointer finger, and then push it in. Just like that. So that's all back together. Keeping pressure on here so that it doesn't slide out and lose the ball. Nice ratchet. So now I'll show you with the ball is on that side of this notch. So as the gear goes, it will allow the cam to click this way. So that's when you're not tightening, but when you're about to. And then as you go this way, it locks in. See the gear locked into the cam? So now you can actually tighten it. And then you can ratchet, tighten, ratchet, tighten. And then what happens when you flip it, I'm just going to put this on here real quick. When you flip it, right, and I'm going to pop it back off. Now you're on the other side. See, it pushes this way. So let me see if I can do it like this so you can see what's happening. This is going to turn. It's going to push that ball down. And now the ball's on the other side. It's going to turn, push the ball down against the spring, and then pop up into the other side. So now that makes it so that this one catches, so it can go past to ratchet and then loosen, ratchet, loosen, ratchet, loosen. So that's how that works. Maybe somebody learned something today, maybe not, but that is how that works. So we're going to take this setup, got the clip in the groove, going to compress it. I'm too far in, I gotta go to the end of the needle nose. Compress it. Gotta line up the half moon. And we're in. Click. Click. And that's it, folks. So we're just going to apply some oil all around. And then for good measure, up in the top. I have an oiling can. Oh, it's right next to me. Something like this is probably better. It's metal and not plastic, so I can push it right on that ball. This is probably empty. Nope, there it goes. Send some oil right in there. And now we're just going to wipe it down. That's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed it.